Yes, we are about to watch a mini marathon of Beverly Hillbillies, the 1962 CBS television series. And once again, I'm Keith, 50th Street Studio. I'm going to be showing it to you. It took some... oh, Steve came in. Hi, Steve. It took some doing to put these together. The first season of Beverly Hillbillies and parts of the second season... The first season and parts of the second season are in public domain, so you can find them online. Hello, Iceman. Iceman came in. So you can find the episodes online, but the theme song is not in the public domain. So the episodes that you find online usually have some random banjo music put in. And it took some doing, as I was saying. I had to spend like 3 hours today editing, particularly the first episode. I found an episode on YouTube that did not have the theme music, and I found an episode, I downloaded a torrent with the complete series that did have the theme song and better sound. But then the two videos were different lengths. They were there was like 5 minutes difference between the two of them. The YouTube video included 3 full scenes that weren't in the WGN version. So I had to mix and match bits and pieces of videos and audio to get that first episode together, but I did it. I stitched it together. And after we watch it, I'll talk more about which scenes we're missing. You may be able to spot it. You may be able to spot the edits. It's kind of a Frankenstein monster that I had to stitch together. There was one scene in the WGN version that was not in the YouTube version, so it was reversed for that one scene. Really strange. But I got it done, and I'm glad I did. This is, I've always loved this TV show. I wouldn't call myself a super fan of the show, but I grew up with it. Mike, who's my generation, also did. When Mike and I were growing up, American culture, what you would call American culture, was basically television theme songs. You had the Beverly Hillbillies, you had Gilligan's Island, you had the Flintstones. Yeah. But the first few episodes of this series were really remarkable. It was 1962 when it premiered. It was created by Paul Henning. And it is a beautiful example of perfect casting and perfect performances from that cast. Yeah, the Jetsons, right. The first episode premiered a week later, the second episode, and with the third episode, 2 weeks later, the show was #1 in the ratings. No television show has ever gone to #1 that quickly. It is the top 20 most... It ran for 9 years, 1962 to 1971. It was in the top 28 of those years. And 2 of those years, it was the #1. There's 15 or 16 episodes that are among the 100 most watched episodes of any television show, even today. Remarkable success, and critics universally despised it. But it is I always thought it was a tremendously clever show. Beautifully written, beautifully performed. And I've had this in mind since the beginning, since we started this a year ago, because I knew that the original season was in the public domain, and so it was something that could easily be shown. Yeah, we'll talk more about the premise of the show and the reasons for its success, and we'll talk more about the stars after we watch the first episode. So let's go into the movie room here. And start the show.
This is Beverly Hills. And here come the Beverly Hillbillies.
perfect bluegrass music. Just absolutely perfect.
Well, come on, let's find that house we bought.
House they bought? In Beverly Hills? Whoa, wait a minute, hold it. How could a bunch of hillbillies possibly buy a mansion like this?
There's a narrator.
Let's take them back to their home and see how this whole thing started.
That's right, James. Flat and Scruggs.
Jed, you gotta do something about that young'un of yourn.
How'd that happen?
Fighting with a bobcat.
Get hurt?
I reckon so. It went limping off on 3 legs.
I swear I don't know what I'm gonna do about that girl.
Well, the first thing to do is to get her into a dress. She's getting too big to be wearing man's duds. Looky here. She's done popped the buttons off of her shirt again.
Well, Ellie Mae carries herself proud, with her shoulders throwed back.
It ain't her shoulders that's popping these buttons. Fully growed up, rounded out female woman. Time she started acting like one.
Well, one of these days, some boy will come along and start courting her.
They came courting when she was 12. What did she do?
She whopped the tar out of him.
Well, it ain't fitting. Girl running around as wild as a cougar, wrestling, fighting, and hunting. She ought to be doing woman's work. Helping me with the steel.
Well, I'll speak to her.
Oh, that reminds me. Better go down and stomp out the fire under that mess.
Hold on now, Granny. You ain't gonna stomp out no fire like that, are you?
Huh? Oh, of course not. Don't want to burn my shoes.
Granny, somebody open the door. Howdy, Paul.
What you got there?
Stranger,
Where'd you get him?
I beat him with a rock.
For?
He was skulking around down by the slough. Figured he might be a revenuer.
He ain't no revenuer.
Then can I keep him?
Of course not.
Well, I caught him.
Don't matter.
Well, he won't be no trouble. I could keep him out in the smokehouse.
Ellie Mae, you can't keep people like they were dogs and cats.
Ooh, 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 ow, ooh, that's hard. Who's that?
Some feller Ellie found nosing around.
Beaned him with the rock so it'd be easier to tote.
They're fellas from the petroleum company.
What's a petroleum?
I don't know. He asked me if he could do some wildcatting down by the slough. I said, help yourself. We're glad to get rid of the critters.
What'd he say?
Just kind of laughed. But the laugh's on him. There ain't no wildcats down there at that slough.
No, it's too full of oil.
It's too full of oil.
What happened? Where am I?
This here's the Clampett place. I'm Jed Clampett, my young'un Ellie Mae, and Granny. Granny says you've been doing some wildcatting.
There's no need to. Mr. Clampett, that swamp of yours is full of oil.
I could have told you that.
Well, my company would like to pump it out.
Yeah, I like that too, but I just can't afford to have it done.
No, you don't understand. You see, you wouldn't have to pay for it.
Oh, I don't take favors from strangers.
No, Mr. Clampett, you see, you're a very rich man.
How big a rock did you bean him with?
No bigger than a hedge apple.
Listen, I've got to call my office in Tulsa. Have you got a telephone?
A what?
A telephone? Or maybe one of your neighbors has one. It's well, down in this country, it's probably a box attached to the wall. And, you talk into it, and they can hear you in Tulsa.
Maybe you better sit down for a spell.
No, I haven't time. Listen, where's the nearest airfield?
Airfield?
You know, Granny, that's one of them there fields sets up in the air.
Oh, never mind. I'll find it myself. Listen, now don't you sell that swamp till you hear from me. I'm flying to Tulsa.
Now he thinks he's got wings.
Morning, Granny.
Watch them buttons, child.
Granny! Them pigs of yours got into the corn.
Did they drink much?
I reckon they did. This here little fella was kicking blue blazes out of the mule.
That's the trouble with razorbacks. They such a mean drunk. Yeah, this wouldn't happen if you'd stay in the house where you belong.
There it is, Mr. Brewster. On the tests and surveys, I say that's going to be one of the richest pools since East Texas.
News like this is bound to get out. Let's go down and get Clampett's name on a deal.
I actually got the sound out of sync there.
Where's the gun? Where's the gun? Oh, there.
What's the matter?
You want to see what just flew over Blueberry Ridge? What? The dad-blamedest biggest bird you ever laid eyes on.
Probably just an overrode chicken hawk.
Chicken hawk, nothing. That thing could make off with a hog. Hurry up, put that gun together.
No room to land near the cabin, Mr. Brewster. It's too rocky and hilly. Then let's get the sling ready to be lowered.
Well, Mr. Brewster, that might be dangerous.
Hang the danger. We're going to be the first oil company down there if it kills you.
Me?
Don't worry. If it's safe, I'll follow you.
Granny, I see it. Here it is.
Land of mercy, look at that.
What you doing, Granny?
That thing's only got one claw, but danged if it ain't grabbed up a man.
Hurry, Pa, it's my stranger.
Where is it?
Just flew over the house. I'll get it on t'other side.
You kill it, Granny?
No, but I made it drop that stranger.
Stop this thing!
Granny! Granny!
Yes, Jim?
Granny, grab a hold of something and hang on. Cousin Pearl and that overgrown son of hers is headed right for the cabin in that old truck.
Heaven protect us. Did they hit us, Jed?
No, but I think they sure want the chicken house.
Oh, Jed, I'm sure sorry about the chicken house, but nobody got hurt.
Jethro, I told you to get rid of them worn-out brakes.
I did, Ma. That's how come we ain't got none.
Get on out and lift the chicken house back on its foundation.
Jed?
Jed, Ellie Mae came running over to my place, and she said you sold the swamp to some oil company.
Well, yeah, I guess I did.
What did they pay you for it?
Well, he ain't paid me nothing yet. The Brewster fella said he'd bring the money later.
How much they going to pay you?
Well, he said I'd depend some on how much oil they could pump out.
Well, he must have mentioned some figure. What was it?
Well, now, Pearl, you know that old swamp won't worth shucks.
Jed Clampett, you got slickered and you're ashamed to admit it.
That's just what I told you.
Granny, how much they gonna pay him?
All right, I'll tell you. He said around somewhere between 25 and 100.
25 and 100?
I know it don't sound like much, but Mr. Brewster seemed to set great store by the fact he's going to pay me in some new kind of dollar.
There ain't no new kind of dollar.
Well, it's new to me. I've heard of gold dollars, silver dollars, paper dollars, but he says he's going to pay me in, what do you call them, Granny?
$1 million.
Yeah, that's it.
$1 million?
He wrote the whole thing out on this piece of paper. Here, you can see for yourself. I don't know nothing about that.
Let's see here now. Saints in heaven. Granny, give me the jug.
It's empty, but I'll fetch some.
I'll go, Granny.
Granny, give me the jug.
Jed. Jed. You're a millionaire. A millionaire.
Yeah, that's what that Brewster fella kept calling me. I didn't know just how to take it.
That means you're rich.
Me?
The richest man in these hills. Maybe in the whole state. Oh, Jed, you can have anything you want. Do anything you want. Go any place you want.
Yeah, that's another thing he kept saying. He said he reckoned I'd be moving away from here soon. What do you think, Pearl? You think I ought to move?
Jed, how can you even ask? Look around you. You're 8 miles from your nearest neighbor. You're overrun with skunks, possums, coyotes, bobcats. You use kerosene lamps for light. You cook on a wood stove, summer and winter. You're drinking homemade moonshine, washing with homemade lye soap. And your bathroom is 50 feet from the house, and you ask, should you move?
Yeah, I reckon you're right. Man, be a dang fool to leave all this.
Oh, there you are, Jed. You misunderstood me. I meant you should move away. And you know where I'd go if I was you?
Where?
California.
California?
Yes, sir. Beverly Hills, California. Jed, remember the time that your pa took us to Eureka Springs to see the movie picture?
Yeah.
Well, the actors that make them movie pictures live in Beverly Hills.
Go on.
Yes, sir.
Go on.
Well, doggies. Wouldn't that be something? Living in the same neck of the woods with old town me.
It sure would. And we could come visit you. You know what else they say about California?
What?
It don't get cold out there.
What don't get cold out there?
Nothing don't get cold out there. They don't have no snow or no ice.
Can't they bring some in?
They don't want it. That's why'd be so good for Granny. Remember last winter when she slipped on the ice and broke her hip?
Yeah, poor old woman. She was limping for 2 days.
Well, that couldn't happen in California because they don't have no ice.
How come?
I don't know how come. But Granny'd sure like it, and we could visit you. You know what else they say about California?
Maybe Jethro'd know how come there's no ice. He's going to school.
We could ask you. Jethro,
Yeah, Ma.
come on over here. Speaking of school, Ellie Mae could get herself a fine education out there in Beverly Hills.
Yeah, Ma?
Your rich uncle's got a question he'd like to ask you.
What rich uncle, Ma?
Your rich Uncle Jade.
Jethro? How come there's no ice in California? Don't look at me. I didn't take it.
You big jump.
Well, I didn't, Ma.
Oh, get out of here.
Well, you always do. I didn't mean
I was saying, Jed, folks claim California's got it all beat. Why, things grow twice as big out there.
Jethro'd be a whopper, wouldn't he?
He could help you move. He's awful handy at lifting and toting, and he could drive you out in my truck.
I tell you what, Pearl. I'm going to have to study on this. When that Brewster fella comes back, I'll ask him what he thinks.
Well, your cousin is right about that, Mr. Clampett. Beverly Hills is a choice residential area, and lots of millionaires do settle there.
Folks like me, huh?
Well, millionaires.
And movie stars, too.
Oh, yes, yes.
Is Tom Mix there?
No, I'm afraid Mr. Mix is dead.
Oh? Oh, yeah. What's the matter with me? Remember Pearl? He got shot at the end of that picture.
Well, there are plenty other movie stars, and that's where Jed wants to live. Ain't it, Jed?
You like the notion of living in the hills. Never could stand flat country.
Mr. Clampett, I think it only fair. That is, well, I think you may have a wrong idea about Beverly Hills.
Is that where you live?
No, my home is in Tulsa.
Well, say, maybe you could get us a place there in your neighborhood.
Mr. Clampett, let's not beat around the bush. You will love Beverly Hills.
Then that's it. Can you steer Jed onto a good place?
No, I can get the bank out there to handle it for him.
He'd like a nice big place with plenty of room for his kinfolk to visit him.
I would like a nice, roomy place if I could afford it.
Oh, Mr. Clampett, with your money, you can afford the Taj Mahal.
Okay, I'll take it.
Well, no, you see, I was just making a little joke.
Oh, well, go right ahead.
Well, you see, the Taj Mahal is in India.
Mr. Brewster, you're a nice fella, but I've heard better jokes.
Is the foreigner staying to supper?
I'm ashamed to say I ain't asked him. How about it?
Oh, I don't think so.
Oh, no trouble. What you cooking tonight, Granny?
Mustard greens and possum innards.
Mm-hmm. Did you hear that, Mr. Brewster?
Very clearly.
Want to change your mind?
Not this time.
Well, if you should happen to come back tomorrow, we'll be having leftovers. That's the thing about possum innards. He's just as good the second day.
Awesome innards.
Ellie, if old Duke sits there with you, there ain't gonna be room for Granny.
Oh, that's all right, Paul. Granny ain't gone.
Who says she ain't?
She says she ain't.
That's right, Uncle Jed. She's a sitting on the back porch in her rocker, and she says that's as close to California as you're gonna get her.
We'll see about that. Dang if I ain't got me the muliest women folk. We ain't never gonna get there. Now, what's all this nonsense about you ain't going to California?
Ain't no nonsense to it. If the good Lord had wanted me in California, he'd have put me in California.
Maybe he's just getting around to it. The book says he moves in mysterious ways.
Well, if he moves me, I'll go. But you and Big Jethro ain't a budging me.
Granny, this here Beverly Hills sounds like the kind of place you'd like. That Brewster fella says they got smogs out there.
What's a smog?
Well, me and Jethro figured out that's a small hog. And you heard what Pearl said. It ain't got no snow out there. You could run your still the year round.
Run it the year round here.
Yeah, but walking down through the snow to the still always makes you feel so miserable.
I might feel miserable walking down, but the way I feels coming back makes up for it.
Dang, damn it, Granny. We've been planning and talking about this trip for days. You never said you wouldn't go.
Never said I wouldn't either.
But that Brewster feller has bought us a house in them Beverly Hills. He sent our $25 million to the bank out there.
Well, you just chase on out after it. I'm staying right here. And I ain't afeared neither.
Granny,
Wow.
I ain't a-leaving you here alone.
And I ain't a budging out of this rocker.
Jethro, what does that sign say?
It says Beverly Hills.
You hear that, Granny? We're there.
They call them hills? Why, we got moles that can push up higher ridges than that.
Well, leastways, these hills will be among our kind of folks.
deposit of $25 million to the account of J.D. Clampett.
J.D.?
As in Rockefeller. Elevates us to third position in capital assets and assures our bank of... Come in.
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt, Mr. Drysdale.
All right, Taylor. Well, are we all set to give the Clampetts a red carpet reception?
Well, I'm afraid Mrs. Drysdale still isn't too happy, sir.
Yes, I know. Oh, my wife is very upset that I got the estate next to ours for the Clampetts. Says I don't even know what kind of people they are.
Do you?
I know to the dollar what kind of people they are. They're my kind of people. Loaded. Taylor, have the gardeners got the grounds in order?
Yes, sir. But I'm afraid that's another thing your wife is upset about.
Oh?
Well, you see, your gardeners have been working on their lawn all week. Why, they've mowed it, trimmed it, fed it, clipped it.
I don't care if they lather it and shave it. This is the most beautiful mansion in Beverly Hills. I want every square inch of ground within those walls in apple pie... Oh. Yes? Oh, hello, Margaret. No, dear, I'm very What? Well, good heavens, did you call the police? I'll be right there.
What happened?
The Clampett estate is being invaded by a band of outlaws.
Invaded?
Yes, they're holding the gardeners at gunpoint.
Sure is lucky we come along when we did.
That's the truth. The way they were slipping through that gate, another 5 minutes and that whole darn prison would have been empty. Jethro, you sure that's a prison?
Yeah, Uncle Jed. I seen pictures. Only thing is, how come there ain't no guards on them walls?
Probably done them in with them knives and things.
These killers, if I ever did see any. Fine neighborhood we's moving into. You hear that? Hot diggity, there's bobcats in these hills.
Them sirens! Somebody's calling the law.
I reckon they's gonna be mighty grateful for what we done. Folks out here has got a strange way of showing they're grateful.
You've locked up one of the richest men in the country. Mr. Clampett, I don't know how to apologize. I'm deeply humiliated. What have you cutthroats done with J.D. Clampett?
I'm Jed Clampett, and I'd appreciate it if you let go of my Sunday shirt.
You're J.D. Clampett, the oil millionaire?
Yep, this here's my nephew, Jethro.
Howdy. Quickly, man, unlock this cell. Mr. Clampett, on behalf of the entire city of Beverly Hills, I extend our deep and humble apologies for this unfortunate and embarrassing incident. Oh, I'm Milburn Drysdale, president of the Commerce Bank of Beverly Hills. My car is waiting to take you and your family to your new home. We want you to know how happy we are to have you, your handsome nephew, your lovely daughter, and your beautiful mother.
This car! Mr. Drysdale, you tricked us. You just took us out of jail so you could bring us back up here to prison. Head for the hills, everybody! No, wait! Come back! It's not a prison, it's your home! Now, wait! Mr. Clampett, listen to me! Wait! Come back! Friendly!
This has been a Filmways presentation.
Okay. All right. That was the first episode of the Beverly Hillbillies. We had the bluegrass music, We had the Flat and Scruggs bluegrass music. We did not have the theme song yet. Yeah, Steve, it's classic. Definitely classic. They did start strong, Mike. Yeah, it's. I can see the criticism that this was a one gag premise. This was a one joke premise, and the fact that it lasted 9 years, 9 seasons, is kind of hard to believe. Yeah, Carol, it is fun. And having these tremendous performers like Buddy Ebsen and B. Benaderet. You notice how hard I was laughing every time B. Benaderet was on screen. B. Benaderet was the one playing Cousin Pearl, the one telling Jed he should move to California and saying, "And we could come visit you." Buddy Ebsen was a big name Hollywood star. It was a real accomplishment getting him into a television series like this. And B. Benaderet, she was a huge name in Hollywood, powerful name, because she was a constantly working character actor, one of those who was in literally everything. We've talked about character actors before that we see over and over, and B. Benaderet was one of those character actors who appeared in literally every television show you can name during her lifetime. She was the voice of Betty Rubble in the Flintstones, for Christ's sake. She was in literally everything. When June Foray wasn't doing the voice of the witch in the Bugs Bunny cartoons, what was the name of that witch? Anyway, when June Foray wasn't doing the voice of the witch, they would get B. Benaderet to do it. And that's another thing I want to talk about. Witch Hazel, right. B. Benaderet, being so well established and being such a big name, she could pick and choose what she did. She could choose what to do, but she had never been the star of her own show. When Paul Henning created the Beverly Hillbillies, he and the other writers, they had B. Benaderet in mind to play Granny. It was her role. They made it for her, and it was going to be her show. She was going to be the star of the show. But when they saw Irene Ryan reading for the part of Granny, they all looked at each other and said, "That's Granny." And so did B. Benaderet, which I think is remarkable. B. Benaderet allowed, knowing that show was going to be hers, she allowed Irene Ryan to take that part on the strength of the audition. There's a number of remarkable things there. Number one, smart. Show business smartness, because it was the best casting that could have possibly happened for that role. And number two, B. Benaderet being so positioned and so well established in Hollywood that she could make a choice like that. She could make a generous choice like that. It's not just giving up a role for an actress who's correct for the role. She gave Irene Ryan a new career. Irene Ryan had her own career in radio and film before this, but of course she was her career was basically in the past. B. Benaderet gave Irene Ryan a second career, and it's the thing that Irene Ryan is known for. I think that's remarkable. I think that's really remarkable. Steve is pointing out that B. Benaderet was Lucille Ball's first choice to play Ethel Mertz. I don't know about that story. What happened? What are you reading there? Do you know why she didn't take the role? She might have been busy. She might have been too busy. She actually turned down Lucille Ball. But yeah, she took the lesser role of Cousin Pearl and made a hell of a role out of it. Yeah, she was probably busy with another project, Steve. Yeah. She did get her own starring show with a spinoff of Beverly Hillbillies called Petticoat Junction. So she was the star of Petticoat Junction, and she was one of the supporting cast of Beverly Hillbillies, which are in the same universe. She was playing two characters in a shared universe. How many people can you name who have done that? It's almost none. Was she in Green Acres? Green Acres was a third spinoff of Beverly Hillbillies, where they reversed the premise and put a rich man in the same role. Yeah, same role. But yeah, I did want to tell that story about B. Benaderet, and then I wanted to talk about Buddy Ebsen having these tremendous experienced actors like Buddy Ebsen and B. Benaderet in scenes together. They're just gold. There's just sparks happening between them because they're both so good. She had been on the Burns and Allen show, sure, yeah. Yeah, she had been in everything. That's what I'm saying. Speaking of Burns and Allen, Irene Ryan's career, she and her husband, during the radio and earlier film days, they had a duo act that was very similar to the Burns and Allen act. Oh, that's why she couldn't do Lucy, because she was already in Burns and Allen. Yeah. You're being presented with a choice between George Burns and Lucille Ball, and you can take your pick. That's a powerful position. That is a powerful position. I would much rather be a constantly working character actor in a position like that, who's being handed work every single year, rather than trying to be a big name star who has one show and then never works again. You know. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about Buddy Ebsen. He had been. It's well known that he had been cast as the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz in 1939. What I did not know, and I was reading about this today, was that he was actually cast as the Scarecrow. And Ray Bolger had been cast as the Tin Man. And Ray Bolger decided that he wanted the role of the Scarecrow. He thought that the Scarecrow was right for him, which again was a good call by an experienced person, by an experienced actor. And Buddy Ebsen agreed with him, so they switched roles. Buddy Ebsen had recorded all the songs. He had already recorded all the songs and filmed some of the dance routines with the other cast members. And then they put him in the costume and put the silver makeup on him, which contained aluminum powder, and he had a violent allergic reaction to it and was hospitalized. The MGM management didn't believe that he was sick. They wanted to fight with him about it, but his nurse pulled her finger out at the studio and said, "This man is dying. Get him to the hospital." And so they recast it with the other guy. And here's another remarkable thing that I read today that I didn't know, is that the songs where Jack Haley, yes. Imagine how different the movie would be if Buddy Ebsen had been playing the Tin Man instead of Jack Haley. How different the role would have been played. The Wizard of Oz, that Wizard of Oz movie is so deeply ingrained in popular culture. It would have changed much of popular culture altogether. The Wizard of Oz movie is one of those linchpin popular culture moments. And apparently the studio did not tell Jack Haley that there had been a medical problem with the aluminum makeup. He had to learn about it after the filming. I would have been mad. I'm sure he was. I'm sure he was too. But Buddy Ebsen would have played it so differently. In fact, let me call up this photo. Here's a picture of him. A very young Buddy Ebsen. Look how young. Look how young. Let me zoom this down a bit. Steve is pointing out that Buddy Ebsen played a homeless hobo on the Andy Griffith Show. And yeah, he had a number of television roles. He played Davy Crockett's friend George on the Disney's Davy Crockett series. And he had gone to Hollywood in the 1930s as a dancer. He and his sister signed movie contracts as a dancing duo. And she only did one movie, but he went on to make more movies. He danced with, and this was before Wizard of Oz, he danced with Shirley Temple. and with um, and with um, um, Dorothy. What's her name? Good Lord, I can't think of the Dorothy actress' name. How can I not think of her name? But he had danced. I mean, dancing Judy Garland, yeah, dancing with Shirley Temple in Shirley Temple's movies. That's a big deal. So he was a big name already, and of course he was in Breakfast at Tiffany's. He played Holly Golightly's country husband. So yeah, it was a big deal getting Buddy Ebsen into a role like that. Oh, Eric just came in. He says, "Hola." Well, hola to you too. We still have 11 people watching. I'm glad so many people are still watching. Speaking of which, everybody, please make donations. There's the PayPal address, donation@50th.st. You can send it by PayPal or Zelle. The Streamlabs donation link came up in the Twitch chat there. We have $5 in donations so far today from James. Thank you again, James. Our goal every weekend is 100. Last weekend we only brought in $10. That's not enough. That's not enough at all. So please make your donations before we go on to episode 2 of Beverly Hillbillies, where we get to hear the Ballad of Jed Clampett finally. Steve says he met Donna Douglas at a movie convention about 15 years ago. Very nice lady. I'm sure she was. Speaking of Donna Douglas, now Buddy Ebsen was from Southern Illinois. He was from rural Southern Illinois, way down at the southern tip of Illinois. Illinois is a very, very tall state. Chicago is up at the top, up at the north, of course, but the southern point is down near Missouri. So Southern Illinois is basically Missouri. So Buddy Ebsen was an authentic country boy, and so was Donna Douglas. She was from Louisiana, near Baton Rouge. Mike says very close to where I live. Donna Douglas was she was born near Baton Rouge. Before she went to Los Angeles to start acting, she was Miss Baton Rouge and Miss New Orleans in, I think, 1958. Eric, thank you for the $5. Thank you, Eric. Eric comes in the door and donates $5. Thank you so much, Eric. That gets us to $10. That's 10% toward our $100 goal. But Donna Douglas was an authentic country girl as well, and I wanted to talk about Twilight Zone. I was about to get to that. Beverly Hillbillies was in 1962. She appeared in an episode of Twilight Zone, I think in 1960. It was before Beverly Hillbillies. It was the episode called Eye of the Beholder, the famous one where there's a woman whose face is bandaged, and all the doctors and surgeons are hoping they can repair her face, and they unwrap her face, and she's beautiful. She's Donna Douglas, and everyone's concerned about how the operation hasn't worked. And it turned out that she's living in a world where human faces are dramatically different than they are in our world. It is one of the most famous Twilight Zones, and that was Donna Douglas. She was already acting. And later in the 60s, in 1966, she co-starred with Elvis Presley in a movie called Frankie and Johnny. Not a good movie, but good Lord, she co-starred with Elvis. I don't think you get to co-star with Elvis unless Elvis is okay with it, you know? But Buddy Ebsen and Donna Douglas were both authentic country people. I think they were just using their honest country accents. You notice that Donna Douglas, being from Bayou country, being from Cajun country, deep Cajun country, but she was not using a Cajun accent. She was using what I think of as more of an East Texas accent, where I'm from. She calls Aunt Pearl Ain't Pearl. She pronounces it Ain't Pearl, which is all of my cousins in Southeast Texas pronounce the word aunt that way. But Buddy Ebsen does not pronounce it that way. He calls her Aunt Pearl. But then in you look at the Andy Griffith show. Andy Griffith and Don Knotts were both from Virginia and West Virginia, respectively, I think. So they both had authentic country accents. But Andy Griffith pronounces it Ain't B, but Don Knotts does not. So the pronunciation of the word aunt as ain't is can be found across the United States, but not consistently. Irene Ryan was from El Paso, born in El Paso, Texas, but she grew up in either San Francisco or San Diego. I don't remember which. But I wanted to show a clip of Irene Ryan about her career. Let's watch this.
Granny, Jed's feisty mother-in-law, and a moonshiner. This is Ryan's actual screen test done in November 1961.
I swear I gotta do something about that girl.
Well, the first thing to do is to get her into a dress. She's getting too big to be running around in man's goods. Look here. She popped the buttons off of her shirt again.
Well, Ellie Mae carries herself proud with the shoulders thrown well back.
It ain't her shoulders that's a-popping them buttons.
59-year-old Ryan was born Irene Noblette and started her career when she was 11, singing on stage in San Francisco. In 1922, she married Tim Ryan, and the two formed their own act called Tim and Irene. Over the next 30 years, the duo performed in vaudeville theaters, on radio, and in film.
I want you to meet my mother and father. Oh, Mother Carr! Oh, the
After Tim Ryan's unexpected death in 1955, Irene performed a one-woman comedy show and took on small acting parts. In Granny, Ryan saw more than just a bit part, but she looked younger than the aged character Paul Henning envisioned.
There was quite a bit of luck. Believe me, Jerry. You know, first of all, they thought I was too young to play Granny. And I said to Paul Henning, if you get anybody any older, they'll never make the series because they can't get up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Ryan's agent, Kingsley Colton, helped Ryan transform herself into the quintessential old lady, complete with makeup to age her face, a gray wig, and a pair of authentic granny glasses.
She was smart enough to put on granny glasses in the test.
Yeah, remarkable. I think that's a remarkable story. She wanted that part, and she went about getting it, and she was right for it, and she knew it. We don't hear about Irene Ryan's previous career enough. I wish there was more film of her available from her earlier career. Durham Steve is pointing out that Andy Griffith was from North Carolina. My apologies, North Carolina. Yeah, but he and Don Knotts were from the same part of the world. They both had the authentic country accents, and I think that's why Andy Griffith worked, because the characters and the accents were so authentic, and the same Beverly Hillbillies works for the same reasons. Buddy Ebsen and Donna Douglas and Irene Ryan have such authentic accents. You notice, pay close attention to Jethro and his accent. He's from California. He's from Oakland, California. He's getting the accent wrong. Max Baer Jr. is his name, by the way. His father, Max Baer Sr., was a boxing champion. Was a well-known boxing champion. Ivory came in. Hi, Ivory. Glad you're here. We're about to watch episode 2 of Beverly Hillbillies. But take note of Jethro's accent. He's getting it wrong. He's doing more of a Georgia Southern gentleman kind of accent, which is wrong for the area that they're supposedly from the Ozarks. It took him a while to get Jethro right. He's still funny, but you can tell that he's not quite right. Anyway, let's get on with episode 2, Beverly Hillbillies, because we're falling behind here. And we'll get to hear the Ballad of Jed Clampett for the first time here.
Come and listen to my story about a man named Jed. A poor mountaineer barely kept his family fed. And then one day he was shooting at some food, and up through the ground come a bubbling crude oil, that is, black gold, Texas tea. Well, the first thing you know, old Jed's a millionaire. The kinfolk said, Jed, move away from there. Said, California is the place you ought to be. So they loaded up the truck and they moved to Beverly Hills, that is, swimming pools, movie stars.
The Beverly Hillbillies.
Perfect bluegrass music. I said it before, I'll say it again.
Well, now, ain't that handy?
That, Paul?
Way the road takes a bend in here, runs right by the front door.
No, Mr. Clampett, this is your driveway. It goes with the house.
Is this thing a high?
Oh, yes, indeed. It was built by John Barrymore, one of our finest actors.
Pretty fair stonemason, too.
Hey, Jed! This here is dandy soil.
Fine, Granny. We'll commence plowing tomorrow.
But this is Beverly Hills.
Dirt is dirt.
Yes, I know, but why don't we look around inside, eh?
Dirt is dirt.
Well, here we are. I hope you're going to like this place I picked out for you. It may be a trifle larger than what you're used to, but I feel a man with $25 million in my bank should live in a manner that... Come in, this is your home. As I say, it may be a bit more than you're used to, but I'm sure you'll be comfortable. Now, my secretary will be over right away to help you with the hiring of servants or whatever problems you may have. She's a very efficient girl, Miss Hathaway.
Jed? Jed? You and Jethro fetching my stove so I can get some victuals to cook in?
Oh, you have a beautiful stove.
Thank you. Fetch it in, Jed. You scare up some wood, Ellie.
No, I mean you have a stove already installed in the kitchen.
Where's that?
I'll show you.
Excuse us. Ellie, you go with Granny. She'll still need you to fetch some wood.
Sure, Paul.
Uncle Jed, guess what? There's a whole nother house up here.
Guess we'll come down from there. Like as not that belongs to somebody else.
This is your kitchen. Oh, and here's the stove. The last word in food preparation. And speaking of food, you'll find everything you could possibly want stored right in here. Eh? Huh? Well, I'll leave you ladies to your culinary delights. Au revoir. Bon appetit.
Talks gibberish.
You've set a great deal of store in this here stove, Granny.
Well, we'll see. Ellie, you run out and fetch some wood. I'll get a fire to going in here and we'll see.
It's all right for you to be missing school.
Oh, sure, Uncle Jed. They ain't straight in the 5th grade.
You in the 5th grade already?
Starting this year.
Don't seem like no time at all since I went with your ma to get you started in the 1st grade. You was 6 years old. No bigger than that. You drove clean over to Oxford so you could go to the same school your pa went to.
You wouldn't know that town today, Uncle Jed.
Oxford?
Yes, sir. Well, that town has growed and growed and spread out and built up and just kept getting bigger and bigger. Where today, why, I bet you there must be at least 3 or 4 dozen people living there.
A place like that's all right to visit, but I wouldn't want to live there.
Do you have any assistance?
No, thank you, Mr. Drysdale. We were just talking about Jethro here getting back to school.
Oh, well, we have some excellent educational facilities out here, Mr. Clampett. Where do you go to school, Jethro?
Oxford.
Oxford.
Yeah, you see, Jethro's ma, that's my cousin Pearl. She married an Oxford man, so naturally Jethro, he goes to school there, too.
I'm the champion crawdad eater.
At Oxford?
Jethro put away 3 buckets of crawdads. 4. And he's learned to cipher and everything. Cipher some for Mr. Drysdale.
1 and 1's 2. 2 and 2's 4. 4 and 4 is 8. I have to take off my shoes to get any further than that.
Never mind. I'm sure we're thinking of two different Oxfords. You see, there's one that's very, very famous and very old.
That's where Jethro goes to school. Been there since pioneer days. That's how come it got its name. It's where the oxen used to ford the river.
So folks took to calling it Oxenford, and later on got shortened to Oxford.
Well, I'll be running. Oh, by the way, here are your keys. My secretary should be over very soon.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Drysdale, for everything you've been doing for us.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Mr. Clampett. You see, I'm not only your banker, I'm your next-door neighbor.
Well, say, now ain't that nice? Well, now, why don't you bring your missus over tonight for supper, and I'll have Granny womp up a mess of grits and hog jowl.
Well, you see, right now my wife is in Boston.
Well, that's too bad. When'll she be back?
Not too soon, fortunately. I'll see you later.
Well, thank you, Mr. Drysdale.
So long. Uncle Jed, you reckon one of these days I can have me a little bitty old taste of Granny's moonshine?
Now, Jethro, you know the family rule about Granny's moonshine? You get your first taste on your wedding day and not before.
Well, Uncle Jed, that might be an awful long time. I ain't even got me no sweetheart.
How come?
Why, back home, every time I get me a girl, one of them there big fellas would take her right away from me.
Maybe out here in Beverly Hills.
Paul, could I please have the axe? I gotta split some wood for Granny.
Fetch it, Jethro. Ain't this place got a wood pile?
Not that I can find, but I found a whole row of black old dead tree trunks, pretty near as high as this house.
Is it kind of big for you to tackle?
Well, shucks, no, Paul. They're only this big around, and all trimmed and topped and strung together with the black rope, so as no matter which one you cut, the others keep it from falling.
Somebody had a right smart idea there. Just the same, I think I'd rather have Jethro do the cutting.
Oh, Paul.
Look, Ellie Mae is wearing Jed's clothes.
Cutting trees and chopping logs ain't no work for a girl.
I'm just as strong as Jethro.
You ain't neither.
I am so.
You ain't neither.
I am so too. You want to wrestle?
Darn too.
Now, here. That ain't no fair fight. Somebody's gonna get hurt. Now, yeah, you see? You're getting too rough. Jethro. Person can get crippled from a hold like that. Get up from there.
I can't, Uncle Jed.
You turn him loose and get up from there before I take a strap to the boot. Now, here, you get out there and chop down one of them tree trunks and saw Granny some nice logs.
Yes, sir, Uncle Jed. Could have whooped you if you hadn't tripped me.
Hey, come back here and sit down. I want to talk to you.
Whooped him fair and square, and I'll do it again.
You won't. That's what I want to talk to you about. Ellie Mae, you're getting too big to wrestle with boys.
I ain't as big as Jethro.
I don't mean big that way. I mean, growed up. You're a young lady now. You gotta start minding your manners and fixing yourself up real nice, and wearing dresses.
Paul, folks would call me a sissy.
It ain't sissy for girls to act like girls. You see, Ellie, I raised you like a boy, and I was wrong to do it. I reckon every man liked to have a son, and you was my only young'un. And when your ma passed away, I just decided to turn you into a boy. By the time Granny come to help out, you was too wild to tame. By thunder, you could outrun, out-climb, out-fight, and out-shoot every boy in them hills.
Still can, Paul.
But it ain't fitting. It ain't right for folks to go against nature. Now look at old Duke. Reckon we could turn him into a cat?
Of course not.
That's right. Because nature made him into a dog. It's the same way nature made you into a girl. Here lately, she's getting more and more positive about it.
You mean my years is grown?
No, nothing like that. You're pretty.
Oh, Paul.
I know you don't like it when I say that, but you like it when the young fellas around here come in saying it, and they will. Only they'll probably be using words, fancy words I won't even understand. But Ellie Mae, ain't nobody can ever tell you how pretty you really are, Symphony. You're the living picture of your mom.
Nothing else sounds like this show.
You still here? I thought you were going up to the Clampett estate.
I didn't think it prudent for us both to be absent simultaneously. In the event of crises...
The only crises you have to worry about right now is keeping Mr. J.D. Clampett happy. Now get up there.
Tell me, how did you like the flamingos?
What flamingos?
I thought pink flamingos around the swimming pool would add a rather elegant touch.
Mr. Clampett is not a man educated to elegance. That will take time. Right now, there are more pressing problems.
Of course, getting settled, the servant problem.
Well, whatever they are, just get up there and solve them. Now, J.D. Clampett is this bank's largest depositor, and I'm making his satisfaction your responsibility.
I accept the mantle of responsibility with which you have cloaked my shoulders. And I shall so conduct myself that if this great financial institution shall last 1,000 years, people will still... This was their finest hour.
Handy wood, all right. Got a lot of pitch and tar in it. Ought to burn real good.
Yeah. That flimsy grate holds up.
Granny? Granny? This is the top of that tree trunk. The one I should split it up to?
No, just leave it outside.
Yes, sir.
This place ain't even got a wood box.
Yeah, folks don't need much wood out here. Remember what Pearl said? It don't get cold.
Yeah, I remember. It might not get cold in the day, but it sure freezes solid at night.
How you know?
I'll show you how I know. Every bit of food in this here storage bin is froze harder than a rock. Yes. Look.
Mighty thin-skinned hog. But I'll be doggone.
Take me 2 days to thaw out that ham before I can ever cook it.
People ought to know better than store food up against the north wall. Why, we'll dig us a root cellar and we put all this stuff in it.
Wow.
Go on out there and catch us a chicken.
Okay, Uncle Jay.
How you know we got chickens?
Place this size is bound to have chickens.
Ain't all froze.
Place this size is bound to have chickens.
Chick, 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 chick.
Are you a chicken? Here's that bucket. You want it?
You take it, Ellie. See if you can find a creek. I gotta have some water.
No pump on this place?
It ain't even got a well.
Uncle Jed, Uncle Jed.
Yeah, boy, did you find a chicken?
I found something. I ain't sure if it's a chicken, a goose, a duck, or what.
Where is it?
I couldn't catch it. That thing can outrun a jackrabbit.
There ain't no goose or duck.
Must be a chicken.
If it is, I was right about things growing bigger out here. That thing was this high.
A chicken?
Ah, Jethro.
Honest, it's got legs this long.
Gibby's on the drumstick.
Drumstick ain't much. Whoever gets that neck is eating from now on. Commences here and runs plumb up to here.
Jethro, you ain't forgot what I said about Granny's jug of liquor.
I ain't been at Granny's jug.
You have your in for it.
Honest, cross my heart.
Where'd you see this chicken?
Down by the cement pond.
Cement pond?
Uncle Jed, that pond is the fanciest thing you ever did see. Why, they are steps, so's the cattle can walk right down into it and get a drink. And up at one end, there's a lady standing there made out of rock. And she's a-pouring water out of a jar right into that cement pond.
Oh.
Well, that's how come that big old pink chicken to get away from me. Flew right over the top of that there rock lady, landed in that pond, and swam like an otter. Just flapping them big old pink wings and hollered.
What color did you say that chicken was?
It's pink.
Ain't I told you that stuff would stunt your growth?
Miss Granny, I didn't touch a drop.
You and me is going to the woodshed.
Jethro, you swear to be telling the truth?
So help me, Jefferson Davis.
You take your hat off when you speak of the president.
President no more.
I'll have no Yankee talk in my kitchen.
Jethro, you and me is going back out there and corner that chicken. Granny, you get your fire to going. Ellie Mae, you sweep up out front and keep your eyes open for that Miss Hathaway. I'm counting on her to take you in hand and get you in the right kind of clothes. Come on.
Chicken.
You see what I mean about Max Baer doesn't have the accent right. He's all over the place.
You there, young man?
I ain't a young man, but I sure do thank you for thinking so.
Good heavens, you're a girl.
Yeah.
I'm Jane Hathaway,
Yeah.
Executive Secretary to Mr. Drysdale. And you, I take it, are a domestic of some sort? Cleaning girl, housemaid? Just what are your duties with Mr. Clampett?
Well, he sent me out here to sweep up, but he said you'd take me in hand and get me in the right kind of clothes and everything.
Indeed, I shall. We have a complete servant's wardrobe from chef to chauffeur. Come with me. What in the name of Thomas Chippendale is this? Has Mr. Clampett seen this disgraceful and unsightly mound of debris?
Oh, yes, ma'am. This is all his.
Oh, what charming antique.
Just like you said, Jethro. Rock lady pouring water into a cement pond.
Yes, sir. And over there's where I seen that great big pink chicken. Only thing is, it don't sound like a chicken. It makes a kind of hollering noise.
Reckon you'd make a hollering noise, too, if you was to lay an egg like that.
Man, oh, man. That's what I call an egg.
And you won't have to worry about food now. Wait till she cooks this.
That flame city stove don't draw worth nothing.
Granny, look at this egg. What's all the smoke?
Stove don't work.
Probably just a stuffed-up flue.
Ain't got a flue, ain't even got a stovepipe.
Well, I'll get the shovel and a hoe and rake it out of there. You keep this egg.
Just like everything else out here. Froze solid.
Really, my dear, you look quite charming.
Well, I feel like a dead blamed fool.
Just a moment.
Yes, out now. I'll be right back.
Oh, that was my pa.
I take it he's a gardener.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Pa just can't wait to commence gardening.
Apparently. However, as though I admire his enthusiasm, I must forbid him access through the main entrance. Now, tell me about the rest of the staff. Is there a chauffeur?
A what?
Someone who does the driving.
Oh, yes, ma'am. That's Jethro. Of course, I don't reckon he can stay around very long. He's got to get back to Oxford and go to school.
Oxford? He attends Oxford University?
Well, he just calls it school. Pa went to school there, too.
Oh, yes. Old school time. Great pride, those Oxford men.
Sorry, I couldn't stop before. Granny was having trouble in the kitchen.
Pa, do I have to wear this here stuff that Miss Hathaway...
No, there can be no appeal from Mr. Clampett's orders.
Thank you, ma'am. Glad to see you taking a firm hand. Ellie Mae, that's right pretty. Makes you look taller.
She's got me walking on pegs.
We'll run in and show Granny.
And get rid of those old clothes, dear. Granny, I presume, is the cook.
Yes, ma'am, but she ain't too happy about it right now.
I shall deal with her directly. Now, let's see. Maid, gardener, cook, chauffeur. Oh, I understand Jethro is an Oxford man.
You bet he is.
I'm quite anxious to meet him.
Don't blame you. Fine-looking young feller. Single, too. And he's on the lookout for a girl.
Oh. I am only interested in the intellectual rapport which I would naturally have with an Oxford man. I presume you went to Eton as a boy.
If I know Jethro, he went to eating the minute he was born.
Yes, of course. I suppose his father matriculated him.
I kind of think maybe it was his mom.
Oh, well, no matter. At any rate, he's an Eaton man.
That he is. Matter of fact, Jethro won the Eaton championship.
Oh, marvelous. What was he champion of?
Eaton.
Yes, I know. But what was it? Cricket?
Oh, no, it's crawdad. I don't think even Jethro would eat crickets.
I was referring to the game of cricket.
Jed, where's the axe?
I bet you, Granny, you talk to Miss Hathaway.
And just why does Cook need an axe?
I've hit this with everything I could lay a hand to. I even whomped it with an iron skillet.
You are supposed to hit it with a croquet mallet.
All right, where is it?
I don't think I'll tell you. There is a time for work and a time for play. Now then, what are we cooking for Mr. Clampett?
Well, I don't know what you're cooking him, but if he wants any victuals from me, somebody better shoot a possum.
Possum?
You got a better idea?
But of course, a nice big fluffy souffle.
All right. You shoot it and you skin it.
No, what a souffle is. What kind of a cook are you?
I'm a cook with a stove that don't draw, food that's froze solid, chickens that can't be caught, eggs that can't be broke, and a smart alecky city woman telling me my business. That's what kind of a cook I am.
Mind your tongue, little woman. I can have your job.
You sure can, and the sooner the better.
Come and just wait till you see what he's got.
Thank heaven. Now I can have an intelligent conversation. Look, Granny, I got that big chicken.
I hope it ain't as tough as its egg.
That is a flamingo.
Oh, no, ma'am. That's my nephew, Jethro. Jethro, say hello to Miss Hathaway.
I didn't mind him. This the big dangest chicken you ever did see.
You go to school at Oxford?
Yes, ma'am. I'm in the 5th grade.
Stop bragging and bring that chicken's neck. Ellie Mae!
No, stop, you barbarians. Don't harm one feather of that beautiful bird.
I've taken just about as much as I'm going to take from you.
Yeah, Granny.
Ellie, you get the fire going under the big kettle outdoors.
Young lady, where is your maid's uniform?
I ain't gone away.
Oh, yes, you are.
No, I ain't.
Oh, yes, you are if I must subdue you forcefully.
Whoa.
Try that.
That's a mistake.
Tried to tell you.
I'll set on her, Ellie. You get the fire to going.
Now, here, Granny. Come on, let her up. Get off of her.
You are discharged. All of you. Sacked. Fired. I am the most incompetent, insubordinate, belligerent group of domestics it has ever been my misfortune. Ah, Chief, you're just in time to help me take disciplinary action.
You're fired.
I've already told them.
Damn you. These people are the Clampetts. Yes, that's right. Now go back to the office and pick up your severance pay. You're through. Now, Mr. Drysdale, hold on a spell. I reckon there's been a kind of a misunderstanding. But this little lady's been a right big help to us. Why, she fit in just like one of the family. Matter of fact, her and me is going out hunting. Ain't that right, Miss Hathaway?
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Jethro, you can take that pink chicken back out to the cement pond. We're going out and shoot us a nice big fluffy souffle.
I think from now on, when it's time to eat, I'm gonna say, if we're gonna have dinner, somebody better shoot a possum.
Well, now it's time to say goodbye to Jed and all his kin. They would like to thank you folks for kindly dropping in. You're all invited back next week to this locality to have a heaping helping of their hospitality. Hillbilly, that is. Set a spell. Take your shoes off. Y'all come back now. Here?
I've always liked the ending theme as well as the beginning theme, and I've always liked, no flamingo, Darthwing. Possum, yes. Flamingo, no. I've always, whenever I wave goodbye here on the show, If you'll notice, every once in a while, I'm holding up my arm, like Granny. That's always been, that's always been my favorite part. I'll make a point of doing that more often from now on. Speaking of which, holding up my arm, the link for donations just came up in the Twitch chat. Please donate. We're at $10 so far today. That's only 10% of our $100 goal for the weekend. I was planning on showing 4 episodes. I had 4 prepared. I think we'll end at 3 because we did so much talking beforehand that we're going to be at 8 o'clock after this 3rd episode. I think we'll end it there. It's been great fun, but I think it's going to be enough at 2 hours there. Please make your donations and let's get on with episode 3 here. I cut out the theme music for the 3rd episode to make things a little bit shorter, to move along a little bit better. So here we go. They actually filmed at that mansion, the outside and inside that actual mansion. This was not a set.
Well, Jethro, what have you got to say about that?
I didn't bust it, honest. Telling the truth, Mr. Drysdale, it was hanging in pieces like that when we moved in.
Yes, sir. No, it's supposed to be like that. It was made that way. It's been like that for 200 years.
100 years? Hey, this house is older than it looks. Oh, I plumb forgot. Granny wants to see you. Let's get out.
All right, Uncle Jed.
Nice boy. His ma, my cousin Pearl, gave me the notion to move out here.
Well, I'm most grateful to her. Oh, but first, I wanted to explain about this priceless crystal chandelier. It was designed and made for Louis XV, hung in the Hall of Mirrors at Versailles. Napoleon Bonaparte planned campaigns with the light of that chandelier. Talleyrand used it. Wellington, Disraeli, Bismarck, Wilson.
Mr. Drysdale, we're just plain folk. We don't mind a few things being secondhand. Getting back to my cousin
Hey, Rick.
Pearl.
Richter
She's
came
looking
in.
after the old home place for me.
He says he
You
met
ever
Donna
seen a
Douglas
family
too.
home, have you?
No, I haven't, Mr. Clevitt.
It's a dandy.
Yes, those southern mansions are beautiful. I suppose it has the large white pillars.
It did, but we bring them along and put them on the beds out here.
No, you see, I was referring to wooden pillars.
Oh, I ain't never slept on one of them. We had everything first class back home. Sure hope Pearl's taking good care of that place.
Oh, she was the friend of a neighbor of yours. That's interesting, Rick. You got to tell us that story sometime. So they were always over, huh? Wow. Yeah, I definitely want to hear about that sometime.
Hello there.
Oh, why, you're Mr. Brewster from the oil company that paid Cousin Jed all that money for his swamp.
25 million to be exact.
You ain't here to back out, are you?
No, indeed. Your cousin's money is safe in the bank in California. I just thought you'd like to know that I heard from the bank, and your family arrived in Beverly Hills safe and sound.
Oh, that is good news. My son Jethro drove him out, you know.
Yes, I know he did. Oh, I have something here from the bank. I think you'll enjoy it.
For me?
They told me at your house I'd find you here.
Yeah, well, I promised Cousin Jed I'd keep an eye on the old home place for him. It's a long trip from my house.
He's going to
but,
scratch the roof of that car.
I'm glad to do it for Jed.
That's nice of you.
Yeah, well, you know, can I help you look for that money?
It's pictures of the estate that Mr. Drysdale, the president of the bank, purchased for him in Beverly Hills.
Oh.
Now, this is now the Jed Clampett estate.
Land to mercy, look at that. Why, it's bigger than the state capitol.
It's quite a change from this place, all right.
What in the world is that?
Oh, that's the swimming pool.
Swimming pool?
Yes, quite ornate.
Oh, my son Jethro's gonna like that.
Granny, when
we's done washing, can I go swimming here in the cement pond?
Of course not. I don't allow nobody to splash around in my wash water.
Ain't there no place else you can wash?
This cement pond's the only water we got. Place ain't got a well, it ain't got a creek. Ain't even got a rain barrel to catch what comes out of the sky.
The cement pond is the only water we got.
He said, why, you can throw that away. We don't use them things here in Beverly Hills.
Now, you listen here to me, boy. I don't care how other folks live in Beverly Hills, but us Clampets is gonna be clean.
Yes, ma'am.
May not have it as nice as we have it back home in the cabin. Pump right in the house and everything. But we ain't gonna lower our standards.
No, ma'am.
Here, wrench these things out for me. We gotta get this tub back to the kitchen for Ellie's bath. Yep. Being clean is a strict rule with your Uncle Jed. Let me look you over. Many's the time we've been down to our last piece of fat. I'd say, shall I cook it to eat it, or shall I render it down for soap? He'd say no. Render it down for soap, Granny. The Lord will feed us poor folks, but we gotta do our own washing.
But Uncle Jed ain't poor now, Granny. He got $25 million.
How long do you think that's gonna last if we go throwing it away on store-bought soap? Waste not, want not.
Store-bought soap.
Here's a view of the entrance hall.
My stars and garters. Why, it's a palace. Whoever would have thought that my cousin Jed would be living in an estate like this?
Well, the credit is yours. You're the one who talked him into moving.
Oh, well, I put the notion in his head. But it was really kind of Ellie Mae when.
Yes, his daughter will have a wonderful life as a Beverly Hills debutante. Can't you just see that beautiful girl descending this magnificent stairway?
I sure can.
Ellie Mae, I don't reckon that's the way a young lady comes down the steps in Beverly Hills, is it, Mr. Drysdale?
Oh, not as a rule, no.
Oh, I can come down the other way. Watch this. How's that?
Well, that's not exactly what I had in mind.
Well, show me.
No, my secretary will show you. Oh, she's in town doing some shopping for you.
Oh, what's she getting me?
Well, now, that's going to be a surprise, Ellie, but it's some things you've been a-needing, and they're going to be pretty, and you're going to like them.
Things I've been a-needing? A set of muskrat traps. Three-blade frog stickers?
Nope.
A ready-made slingshot.
Now, Ellie, you way off the track. Now, you wait till Miss Hathaway gets here, and you'll see.
Yes. Well, I'll be pushing along to the bank. Now, don't you worry about your daughter, Mr. Clampett. When my secretary gets through with her, you'll think she's been to finishing school.
I sure wish my cousin Pearl was out here, fixing Ellie up. She's a whiz at fancy sewing.
Oh, is she a dressmaker?
That woman can make anything. Why, she can pick up a handful of straw, and before you know it, she's made a hat.
That's remarkable. So she's a milliner.
Oh, she's a Clampett. Bodine, I don't recall knowing the milliners.
Milliners are women who make hats.
That's Pearl, all right, but she's a Clampett. You talk about making hats. Pearl made herself a hat one time was shaped just like a bird's nest. And in there on the nest was this blue jay a-setting on her eggs. Well, sir, they come from everywhere to see that hat, to study it, to see how Pearl made it so as they could copy it. Boy, there was dozens of them from all around.
Hat designers?
No, blue jays. Never did catch on too good with people. For a while there, Pearl couldn't hardly go out of the house without a bunch of blue jays taken out after her. Sure wish she was out here. She'd have Ellie slick as a picture in a catalog.
Yep. I ought to be out there in Beverly Hills helping Cousin Jed.
Well, he certainly has plenty of room for you. This mansion of his has 32 rooms and 14 baths.
14 bathrooms?
Yes.
A sunken marble bathtub. I can just see Ellie Mae having herself a bubble bath in there. I tell you, Mr. Brewster, the more I see of these pictures, the more I want to get out there and help Cousin Jed. Of course, I wouldn't go without being asked.
Well, naturally. But, you know, I think you should go.
I've been asked.
Now, it's not exactly my province. Well, why don't you telephone your cousin and talk to him?
Oh, why, they ain't a telephone within 40 miles of this place. Nearest one, I guess, is at the International Emporium, clean over to Oxford.
Well, I'll be happy to drive you over there.
Oh, I couldn't let you drive me all that way just to use telephone. Busy oil company man like you. That's 40 miles.
There's no trip at all in this car.
No, I couldn't do it. Why, folks that see me riding in this big, shiny car with a tall, good-looking city fella, why, sure as the world, they'd think that... Let's go.
What about your horse and buggy?
Oh, just untie Bessie. You go on home.
Well, Bessie's headed for home, all right. Mrs. Bodine, how long has your buggy been hitched there?
About an hour, why?
Why, Blue Jay built her nest on the seat, and she was sitting on her eggs.
Oh, shoot. I wanted to wear that.
There's that great music again.
Here's Miss Hathaway.
Mon capitaine, je suis l'état.
Fine. Ready for Ellie Mae?
Gentlemen, aided and abetted by the gossamer garments, exotic lotions, and other feminine appurtenances within these cartons, I am ready to assume the role of Pygmalion and transform that barefoot Galatea into a striking and sophisticated paragon of Beverly Hills literature.
That's yes the hard way. Well, duty calls. I leave you in capable hands. Goodbye, Mr. Clavitt.
Thank you, sir.
Poor Miss Hathaway.
Chief.
Well, that sure is neighborly of you, Miss Hathaway. Reckon you can handle Ellie Mae?
Uncle Jed, Granny says... Oh, howdy, Miss Hathaway.
No. Bonjour, Jethro.
Here are them things in for Miss Hathaway, Jethro. I think she kind of likes you, boy.
She does? Well, I can't take them into the house. That's what I come out here to tell you. Granny says that all the men folks got to stay out of the house while Ellen Mae's taking her bath.
Oh.
But isn't Ellie Mae bathing in the privacy of her own bedroom suite?
Hear what she called you? Sweet.
What's the matter with him? Why doesn't he answer?
Hey, he's just a little shy, I reckon. Ask him again.
Is Ellie Mae in her bedroom suite?
No, she ain't, darling.
I'll find her myself.
Uncle Jed, I got me a girl.
You sure have, boy, and a city girl, too.
Wow.
Oh, some city girls I were about. Jethro's such a good-looking boy. Every girl in the 5th grade was after him.
I hardly think anything serious can develop between boys and girls in the 5th grade.
Oh, I don't know. So far this year, there's been 3 couples out of Jethro's class get married.
Married? 5th grader?
Parson's nearly as busy in that school as the teacher.
That's amazing. Oh, I've heard of...
Uh-oh, wouldn't you know it? There's that Snoopy Alverna Bradshaw and her big mouth daughter sitting on my front porch. Oh, I could just hear the stories they'll start going on if they see me in this car here with you. Yoo-hoo! Alverna! It's me! Terrible gossip, that woman, always making trouble. She tried to talk Granny out of going to California. She ought to see Granny now. Living like a queen in that Beverly Hills mansion.
I should have listened listened to Elmer Bradshaw and stayed home. We had a pump right in the house. Didn't have to tote water a quarter of a mile.
Elverna Bradshaw.
Ready to get rinsed off, Ellie?
Well, not yet, Granny. Should have washed my hair.
No, you better wait till I can catch some rainwater. That pond water smells like it's got medicine in it.
I wondered why there's no fish in that pond.
Yeah, I reckon that water killed them fish. But don't you worry. My lye soap will kill anything that kills them fish.
Have you seen... What in the world's going on here?
Well, there's a bath going on. That's what's going on. Howdy.
But I don't understand.
Well, then somebody ought to explain it to you, sissy woman. You see, first you heat some water. Then you put it in a great big tub like this. You put some soap in it, and then you get in it and you start to wash, and that's what you call a bath.
Granny, you don't have to do this sort of thing in Beverly Hills.
Don't you listen to her, Ellie. Ain't you ever heard that saying that cleanness is next to godliness?
But of course, John Wesley said that.
And I bet he didn't live in Beverly Hills. Here, Ellie, dry yourself off with this nice big bath towel. Ah, my girl. I'll rinse off that old lye soap.
Lye soap? Did you say lye soap?
That's right. I make it myself.
But that will ruin this beautiful girl's delicate skin.
I've been washing with it for 72 years. Look at my skin.
It's like leather.
Yeah. Nice, ain't it?
Granny, I hope you will forgive my momentary bewilderment at this primitive form of ablution, but please let me explain.
Well, first explain what you just said.
Well, Ellie Mae has a beautiful big bathtub upstairs.
Upstairs? It was hard enough carrying the water in here. I ain't going to tote no water upstairs.
You don't have to. There's a big, beautiful... Haven't you been upstairs?
No. Jed said that probably belonged to somebody else. Ain't that right, Ellie?
Yeah. Paul said he heard tell that folks sometimes live one family right on top of another.
But that's only in apartment houses. This entire house belongs to you. And each one has his own individual bedroom suite. Come along and let me show you. And also the lovely things I brought from town.
Yeah, you go ahead. I'll be up directly.
What all did you bring from town?
Everything, Ellie. Everything from chapeau to pumps.
Pumps! Praise the Lord. Now I won't have to tote water.
I should have seen that coming.
Jethro? Yeah, Uncle Jed? Now, as you're going to be keeping company with a girl, is there any questions you like to ask me?
What kind of question?
No, about girls. How much you know about girls?
They softer than boys.
Yeah, I reckon. Generally speaking.
And they shorter and rounder.
Yeah?
And the hair's longer and it smells sweet when you snuggles up to 'em.
Oh, so you've been doing some snuggling, have you?
I done more than that.
Yeah, I reckon you better tell me about it. Who was she?
Prettiest girl in the hills. Big Mouth Bradshaw.
Old Verna's girl. I heard tell she's kind of fast.
Is she ever? Uncle Jed, I was walking past the cabin, and Big Mouth, she calls out the window to me. She says, "Howdy, Jethro." She says, "My ma's just made a big batch of cookies. Come on in and have some." And I says, "Sure your ma won't mind?" And she says, "Ma's gone, and so's Pa. I'm here all alone." Well, Uncle Jed, I was in that house before you could wink an eye.
Can't say as I blame you.
No sooner was I inside, the Big Mouth, she puts a music record on the phonograph machine and commences to sashaying around, a twisting and a turning.
Dancing.
Yeah, I reckon so. Anyway, she says, "Put your arms around me, Jethro, and I'll teach you the two-step."
What'd you say?
I says, "Listen, Big Mouth," I says, "here we are, all alone. Your ma and your pa gone, and you think that I'm going to waste my time dancing?" I says, "Not me, sister. Bring on them cookies."
What'd she say?
Well,
Jed, you and Jethro can start digging the well. That city woman brought us some pumps.
That's fine, Granny. We'll get right to it. What'd that Bradshaw girl say when you said bring on them cookies?
Well, she just held up them cookies like this here. Kind of blinked her eyes at me and said, Jethro, which do you think it tastes sweeter? These here cookies or my lips? Well, Uncle Jed, right then and there's when I found out she was fast. I grabbed them 2 cookies, and it took me 2 miles to outrun that gal.
Yeah, you saw that punchline coming.
Jethro, on one of these days, you and me's got to have a long talk.
We've got 14 people on the Twitch now. How did the count get bigger near the end of the show? Well, welcome everybody. We're watching Beverly Hillbillies.
Oh, yes. He's a lady killer, that boy of mine. While Werner Bradshaw's daughter traced him all the way home one day.
Sounds like Jethro has a lot of charm and sex appeal.
Oh, he has. It's funny how a daughter can take after her father and a boy can favor his mother. Yes. I ought to be out there looking after Jethro. You know, Jed's going to need him to help garden a place this big.
Well, most Beverly Hills mansions have regular gardeners. And, of course, a complete sprinkling system.
Sprinkling system?
Oh, yes, indeed. That entire lawn is crisscrossed with underground pipes.
Land to mercy.
It's dowsing.
By thunder, Jethro, there's water all over this property. Ain't too deep, neither.
I know. Should I commence to digging?
Well, now, let's get as close to the house as we can. That way the pump won't have so far to pull.
Jethro!
Oh, here comes your sweetheart.
It's Clampett. I cannot handle that daughter of yours.
What happened?
I opened that box of beautiful clothes, turned my back for a moment, and she bolted like a wild colt.
I was afraid this would happen. Where is she?
She's up there.
I'll go right up and talk to her.
Jethro, have you been upstairs yet?
No, ma'am.
Then you've got a surprise coming to you.
What is it?
Your sweets.
So are you.
No.
Oh, howdy, Pop.
Wait. I'm ashamed of you. Running off from Miss Hathaway.
I didn't run away from Miss Hathaway.
What'd you climb up here for?
To cut a fork for that new store-bought slingshot she brought.
Did she bring you a slingshot?
Oh, no.
Fanciest thing you ever did see. Just a minute, I'll hook it up and you can see for yourself.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Doggone. A store-bought, lace-trimmed, double-barrel slingshot.
Ooh, the doozy. I don't know how good I can aim it, but it'll sure throw a heap of rocks.
A store-bought, lace-trimmed,
They really
double-barrel
need me
slingshot.
out there. Why, I could work wonders for Ellie Mae with my fancy sewing and beauty secrets and hairstyling and everything. Of course, I had to learn all those things, not having a husband to support me.
Didn't you say it was 40 miles to the town of Oxford?
That's right.
Well, we've already driven 110 miles.
110 miles.
Land to mercy, I forgot to tell you the turn off. Well, long as we come this far, maybe we ought to go right on to California.
110 miles.
There's so much water here, you could shoot a load of buckshot in that ground and bring up a dozen springs.
I'll be right back.
never miss getting.
All right. That was episode 3. I would like to see episode 4. There are some subsequent episodes I recall that have some really interesting stuff in them. But I think we're gonna call it for now because we've been streaming for almost 2 hours. We've got 12 people watching. Thank you everybody for being here. I'm glad to see so many people. We do need donations. We're only at $10 for our weekend donations goal, and our goal, of course, is $100. The Twitch, the Streamlabs donation link just came up in the Twitch chat, and you can donate directly to us through PayPal and Zelle at the donation link at the email address on screen. Please make donations so we can make our goals. It's important if we're going to keep doing this every weekend. Thank you everybody for being here. I had a great time. Eric says I'll have to remember that it starts an hour earlier for him now. Yeah, after October, in October, since we were doing double features in October, I started the streams at 6 p.m. and I decided to keep it running at 6 p.m. after that. So, well, thank you for being here, Eric, and thank you, Carol, thank you, Darthwing. I enjoyed it too. I had a great time. Laughed all the way through it. I don't know what we'll do for next week's movie. I do know that, as it says here on the coming soon, we have a Turkey Day marathon coming up. You're welcome. Mike says thanks for the stream. On Thanksgiving, we'll be running a Turkey Day marathon starting at midnight on November 25th and running through midnight on the 26th. 24 hours of bad movies. I'll be showing all of the movies that we showed in our 2 12-hour bad movie marathons back to back. And that'll be starting at midnight, November 25th. That's Wednesday, coming up in just a few days. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be reruns, so I won't need to be on camera the whole time. Ivory says she just donated. Thank you, Ivory. Thank you so much. Ivory, email me. Please send me an email. She says, please keep broadcasting. We will. Email me about the donations. But yeah, that's coming up Wednesday at midnight. We'll start the Turkey Day marathon. Next Saturday morning, Mike and I will be back with more bad Saturday morning cartoons, and then Saturday evening I'll be back with another movie. Don't know what I'll show yet, but this past week I've been discovering a whole batch of public domain movies that I hadn't seen before, stuff that I never even suspected existed. Seems to be endless, but I'll come up with something. She's not sure how to email me. You can send an email to that email address on screen. donation@50th.st. Send an email to that address, and I'll see it. All right, with that, thank you, everybody. Gosh, there's still 13 people watching. Thank you again, everybody, for watching. We'll see you next week, okay? Bye-bye.